I'm going to be talking about belly massage, and what we're trying to do is break down any adhesions in the abdomen, increase mobility, push poop or stool through the bowels, and stimulate a process called peristalsis. So we're going to use a couple of identifying features: the belly button, the bottom of the rib cage, and the front of the hip bones. And those are going to be our guides to tell us where we are going and where we want to stay. We're going to follow the bowels, the large intestine, which kind of makes a question mark shape. So it goes up, over, down, and out. And that's going to tell us where we want to move our fingers to massage. We're going to follow that question mark shape, and we're going to keep pressure throughout that whole thing, moving our fingers and really focusing on areas that we find tension. Our starting location is going to be, we're going to draw a line between the belly button and the hip bone, and about halfway between those, that's our starting location. Keeping your hands flat instead of just using the surface area of your fingertips is going to make this process less tickly for your child. So as you move through the question mark, you want to put enough pressure. It's about 50% of the way into their abdomen. It's a pretty deep massage that we want to provide pressure, like I said, until you meet that resistance. When you hit the rib cage, you do want to go up and underneath the ribs before you start going across to the other side. Release at the rib cage is going to be really important, and the bowel does go up underneath that rib cage, attached by ligaments that suspend and support the colon up underneath the ribs. If you don't get that far underneath your rib cage, that's okay. Just work until you find the resistance. Don't push into pain. But you do want to encourage stretching of the tissues that you feel resistance of. I'm going pretty quickly here. Every time I move my fingers, I'm doing maybe 2 to 3 circles. You can stay in each location for much longer. You might get more stretching that way if you take more time. And each time you go around the question mark, you can go out very wide, like I started out here. The next time you make another question mark, you might start closer to the belly button. Some variability is going to help you reach areas of tension and restriction that you didn't know were present. Every child has different anatomy, so someone's colon may be closer to the belly button or further away. Next, we're going to focus on light massage. So it's still that same shape that we're following of the question mark, but it's more so focused on the skin. This is not deep at all, and so it's going to be really soft and consistent, smooth, just pulling of the skin, light massage. And the idea here is that we're targeting the lymphatic system, which is going to help with drainage and movement within the bowels and the tissues around the bowels as well. Same question mark shape, up, over, down, and out. Skin rolling is going to help with any adhesions between the skin and the fat tissue and the connective tissue underneath. So if you want to pause the video and take a minute to read, there's a lot of information there. But essentially what we're doing is pulling the skin and the layers of fat away from the deeper layers of muscle. We want to separate the fat from the muscle underneath, and that's going to help break apart any adhesions that may have formed. I'm going very fast here for demonstration, but if you find areas that are really restricted or you're not able to get your fingers underneath the skin at all, that might be an area that you want to spend some more time. You want to go all across the belly, all different sides, both sides, and all sorts of different directions. So up and down, side to side, diagonally. Above the belly button is typically the area that there is the most area of restriction, and that can be pretty typical. So that's an area that you don't necessarily have to focus on too much. But definitely on the sides, each side of the belly button are areas that I tend to see some restriction in and tend to have good potential to make gains of improving mobility. Here I'm just pulling the skin underneath the belly button, and that targets the tissues that may be adhered and adheres to the bladder or the rectum or the pelvic floor muscles. And so pulling the skin up and away from the groin is going to help any adhesions that may have formed down near that groinal area.